Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for coming in. Now, I know absolutely no one is here to see my lovely face, so I'll pass it off in a moment to Raquel. But just before I pass it to this lovely young lady, I'd just like to share that I actually met her at a workshop. We're doing a workshop in Shanghai. I don't know, what was that, 3 years ago? 4 years ago?
4
years ago, and she'd already been in China quite a while of time, but she came along to the workshop, and next thing you know, like a month later, she's hosting her own workshop. And straight away, we're like, no, come back on and motivate, and we'll put on the stage for you. So she gave her own workshops, and this is one of the highly rated workshops that we've had. Obviously, in Shanghai, everyone sits together and maybe notebook and pen. But when everyone was pulling out their notebooks and pen in Shanghai and actually writing down the notes, this is one of the highest scoring workshops we had in like 2019. So that was a splendid success. But then Raquel also stepped up into a leadership role and hosted what, 50 workshops?
How about that?
Hosted something like 50, perhaps 60 workshops or so in Shanghai before we stopped for vid. So without a doubt, I'll hand it over to the lovely, beautiful Raquel. Thank you very much. And I've got my pen already.
Yeah, I was going to suggest exactly that. So if you can have some paper and pen, because this is going to be interactive, and I'm going to ask of you to like just go through some exercises with me. So it would be helpful if you can have a pen and a paper by your side, so you can take some notes and write down some answers to some of the questions. All right, so first, if you came to any of my workshops before, you know that I love to start with a quote. So the quote that I chose for today is a Steve Jobs quote that says, "Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life." And this is basically the quote that for me, it represents why I started feeling so passionate about time management, and why I felt the need to research about time management and be very proactive and very selective on how I spent my time and how I organized my time in order to achieve what my goals were, right? So time management is the ability to plan and control how you spend your hours in the day effectively in order to accomplish your goals, right? So having that definition of time management in mind, I would like to know if anyone has an idea of what kind of benefits that time management has in our lives. Like why do we talk about time management? Why is it good, or is it good to begin with? And why is it important for us to manage our time?
It lets us, hi, hey Raquel.
Hey, Jeremy.
No worries, thanks for hosting. Time management is good because it lets us do all the things we want to do and then have extra time for whatever else we want to do. If there's new things we want to learn about, if there's new responsibilities we have to take care of, if something big and important comes up, if we manage our time effectively, we have time to do all of those things.
For sure.
Yeah, I would agree.
All right. So the importance of time management. So it helps us with reduction of stress, a sense of achievement, increasing energy, increasing productivity, achieving a goal, and it's an essential life skill, right? Just very similarly to what Jeremy was saying, the sense of achievement of having what we set ourselves to do done, so we have more time to develop and to grow into other areas of interest that we have as well, right? So it's important not only to see what the benefits are, but also what we can how we can work into this, right? So looking at things that when we are when we are planning our week, or when we are looking at how we spend our time, to have some awareness of like what our time wasters are, right? And time wasters are activities that keep us busy but don't really help us achieve our goal. They are tasks that we do that are not really getting us closer to achieving what our goals are. So I would like to see if anyone in the room would have any idea of what a time waster would be.
Oh, obviously we know social media and our phones are often a time waster, but I often find them highly addictive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Netflix.
Netflix, social media, yep. Anything else? When you're at work, for example, what is a time waster that you could have?
I have a friend who is an English teacher in Japan,
Mm-hmm.
and he organized his own classes. And he has many clients, and sometimes he has one client that give him like 1 hour class. He lives in Osaka, and that class lives in Kyoto. And after that class, there's a super big gap, and then that's in the morning, and then in the afternoon, like 4 p.m., he has another class in Osaka. So what things in between is kind of a like time waste if he cannot manage the time well and schedule things all together. He's trying to do it together to put all the classes in one day. So that's time management, which is very important.
For sure. So let's look at some of the most common time wasters. So like we were saying, cell phones, texting, internet, social media, gossip, emails, co-workers dropping by, meetings, smoke or snack breaks, noisy co-workers, sitting in a cubicle. So these are some of the productivity killers or time wasters that a lot of people deal with on a daily basis, right? So it's important, well, first of all, to be aware of what they are, and then the ones that we struggle with the most, right? So in order to be aware of what these time wasters are, and in order to be aware of which ones affect us the most, it's very important for us to track how we spend our time, right? And to be realistic about how we spend our time, and to be realistic about how long the tasks take us, right? And for that, I strongly encourage the technique of calendar blocking, which means basically you look at your week and you look at your hourly schedule as a block, right? So each block will correspond to a task, right? So let's say if your blocks in the morning, if it starts at, let's say, 8 a.m., and then the last block goes until 3 a.m. if you're pre-al and you're awake at 3:30 in the morning. But let's just say that those are the blocks that you have, and how you fill them up, well, that's up to you. And a first step would be to be aware. So I would first, if you're very, very new to calendar blocking, I would use the first couple weeks to just track how you spent your time, just to go back at the end of the day and say like, oh, between 8 and 10 p.m. I was doing this, between 10 and 10:30 this happened. So you can track and become very aware of what your productivity hours are, what your time wasters are, so you can then plan your week in the most proficient and efficient way possible. So the benefits to calendar blocking are immense, right? But the very first one that comes to my mind is the organization and the fact that you can batch similar tasks together, right? So for example, let's say that you have a coaching business, right? So you have your coaching clients on a Tuesday, but you also have to prep for those clients. You also have research. You have to go and reach out to new clients. And you can, instead of just going and doing, let's say, research new clients right now, and then have a coaching client, and then going and preparing for tomorrow's client, right? You're spending a lot of time going from task to task. You're spending a lot of time refocus your energy, as opposed to, okay, so now I have 1.5 hours. I'm going to reach out to as many new clients as I can. And you're already on that mindset. You don't need to change anything. You don't need to gather any new materials. You don't need to shift your mindset. You're already there. Then you do it. And then, okay, so now I finished. Tomorrow I have 5 coaching calls. Let me prepare for all 5 of them. And then the next day, all you have to do is to sit down in front of your computer or to sit down in front of your client and do the calls, because everything else was already done in batches. Adrian, was that a hand up?
Yeah. Hey, what if we were to schedule sales calls for coaches in the room, even if we don't have sales calls to make? What if it's in the calendar, and then that time comes, your calendar goes beep, beep, sales calls, and you're like, I got no one to call.
Then you have to find
I better.
Yeah, you better find someone to call.
So you could even calendar block things that you, you don't have people to call, but you could put it in. You might not have exercise planned, but you can still have exercise blocked in on the calendar.
For sure. Yes, absolutely. So basically, what I would encourage everyone to do is to batch, obviously, to the best of your abilities. A lot of us have 9-to-5 jobs, or a lot of us, I gave the example of a coaching business because that's what we're trying to create over here. But I'm also a kindergarten teacher. So it's like, I also have my full-time job. So just to be able to, okay, so my teaching job things, or my teaching job related tasks, I do it between 8 and 4:30, because that's when I'm in school. That's when I'm in that mindset. But the minute I get off school and then I get home, then I'm working on something else, right? So batching, because it would be very easy for me to be like, oh, I have this to do for my coaching business, but I have this lesson to plan for tomorrow, and just do something for the coaching business, then plan the lesson, then go back to my coaching business. There's a lot of mindset shift. There's a lot of time wasting in between. While if I just do everything for my teaching job, and then I'm in that mindset, and then I do everything for my coaching business, then I'm in that mindset. The time that I spend moving from task to task is a lot smaller. So it will give me more productive time to work on that specific task that I have in mind to accomplish during that time. Right. So, so far, we spoke about calendar blocking, time wasters, and I want to give you a couple tips and tricks before we go into an exercise. So the trips, the tricks and tips that I have for you guys today are related to to-do lists. I often don't like to-do lists. I compare them to the junk drawer that you have, where everything is there, but nothing is prioritized. Nothing is easily accessible in a weekly to-do list, right? So when I do my to-do lists, I do it on a weekly basis, but then I go and I just cross each item and attach them to a time slot on my calendar, if that makes sense. And I usually color code my calendar. We also already spoke about batching similar tasks together. And I include the routines because those are important, and it's very easy for us to not pay attention to the time that we spend either commuting or eating, or and we think, oh, I have time, and then all of a sudden you forgot to eat, right? So I include routines and travel and setup time, preparation for the task, and all of that. I include it on my calendar as well. All right, so for this section of the workshop, are there any questions, any comments, concerns, anything? I feel like I'm speaking too much.
I have a question.
Go for it, E.
Not really a question, it's the issue. I like calendar blocking too. I tried it and
Mhm.
put everything that is necessary and not necessary. I put it there, like morning routines, evening routines, whatever is there.
Mhm.
And the block looks so full, one by one, one by one. And the whole block, like the whole week, month is like, sorry, it's very noisy.
No, it's okay.
It's all full. Then I don't want to look at it anymore. I feel so stressful to look at it.
Right. Okay, so a very important thing to keep in mind, and thank you for bringing that up because I forgot to say this, and this is actually very, very important. It is important in between tasks to leave some wiggle room, right? Don't go crazy with calendar blocking where you don't have time to go from a task to another. And it's also very, very important to leave some time for yourself, right? So if it is 1 hour a day or 30 minutes a day, whatever you can make it, where there's nothing on your calendar and you can choose what to do with that time. So for example, there's 1 hour from 9 to 10 or for 7 to 8, whatever you decide, where there's nothing there. You can choose to either finish a task that you weren't able to finish before because it took you a little bit too long, or you didn't plan, because unexpected things happen all the time, right? And it's totally okay. It's a calendar. It's not like something that you are married to. You know what I mean? Like you can change it. And it's important to give some breaks between tasks, just so that if the task takes a little too long, or if something unexpected happens by the end of the week or by the deadline that you set yourself, the task will still be accomplished. You will still be finished. That is actually very, very important, and I'm very happy that you brought that up. The breaks in between the blocks and the breaks for yourself are very, very important.
Yeah.
How long do you recommend the breaks in between the tasks?
It depends on what the task was before and what the task is next, right? Whatever you feel necessary. For example, in between a coaching call and another coaching call, I might give it an hour and a half because the coaching call might go a little longer, and there's something that you can't really control, right? But if it is, for example, in between finishing a lesson plan and reaching out to new clients, maybe 30 minutes is enough, right? It really depends on what time you feel like it's going to be needed in between tasks. It depends on what you were doing before and what you're doing next.
And Raquel and I were talking something about this before as well. Like, we should be feeling good about it. And if we do so much in the calendar that we start to feel overwhelmed and bad, we're not going to get the result. We should feel good about it.
Yeah.
And making the schedule allows us to feel good, because time management creates more flexibility, actually, because we get more things done, so we can put in the time for ourselves. So by feeling good about it and doing a good job of planning, we actually end up with more flexibility and more scope.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So I saw someone raised his or her hand, but I don't see hands up anymore. So if there's any question, please just make sure to raise your hand. We're going to move on to the more interactive section of this workshop. And the first, what I want to do with you guys now is to plan your ideal week, right? So the very first step of planning our week is to review the previous weeks, right? The previous week. So looking at it and understanding, okay, so I got to do this, but this and that I didn't get to finish. So does that need to go to the next week's calendar? Is it something that it's not a priority anymore? Just thinking about that. So obviously we didn't plan the last week together, but this first step is just so you know that next week, if you do this on Sunday, you're going to look back on this week and realize, oh, I didn't finish this, or I accomplished that. I went over what I wanted to do on this particular project that I have. So that's always the first step, is to review the previous week. So what we just did, and understand if there's anything that needs to transfer over to the new week, or if there's a priority change and you just want to just like not do it anymore. It's just not something you wanna do it, right? After you do that, that review, obviously we want to brainstorm the tasks for the next week, right? So this is where your pen and paper are going to come into action. I want everybody to think about a couple tasks that you want to achieve from tomorrow, Monday, until next Sunday. So the next week, think about a couple tasks or a couple things you want to achieve, a couple things you want to do this week, and write them down. It doesn't have to be organized. It doesn't have to be prioritized. As they come to your head, just write it down. Does anyone have like about 3 to 4 tasks that they want to achieve next week? Yeah? Awesome. Perfect. So now, I'm gonna share my screen again. Now I want you to look at this graph that I have over here. I want you to look at the tasks that you chose that you want to achieve, and realize if they are important and urgent, and if so, then just do it. So the do it part, we are going to work on a little bit later, how we are going to do it and plan it, but that's very important that you notice that if it's important and urgent, then you do it. Important and not urgent, then you decide when you want to do it. If it's not important but urgent, you can choose to delegate. And if it's not important and not urgent, then you just drop it. You just take that out of your list, because if it's not important and not urgent, maybe that's something that you shouldn't be spending your energy and your time doing, right? So as I mentioned before, then the third step would be to get the items that you have on your paper, and then obviously thinking about of important, not important, urgent, not urgent, and attach them and allocate them to a time slot that you have available. So the very first thing that I would like you to do is to look at your calendar if you have one. If you don't, I would encourage you to think about what your typical week looks like with work and just fixed commitments that you have, and work around that, right? So if you know that you are at work from 8:30 to 5, obviously you're not going to put any of the tasks that you just wrote down, if they are not related to work, you're not going to put them in that time slot, right? So looking at the tasks and the times that you have available, and allocate them into a time slot that you have available. Did I make myself clear? Yep, cool. All right, so I'm gonna give you a couple minutes to look at some of the tasks and to look at some of the times that you have available, and I would like you to just allocate the task to the time.
I like this silence, Raquel. I've actually done it,
You muted yourself in the middle of the sentence, Adrian, but
Oh, well, sometimes people just talk about time management, but you're actually pitching us to actually do it. So I've got yoga coming up next week, and sales calls, and I've got meditation programmed in there. So thank you.
you're welcome. That's the
very
purpose. That's the purpose of this workshop, because I feel like it's very easy to go on YouTube and just search for time management and get a video about time management. It's very easy to find the information, but I feel like it's a lot more valuable to have someone guide you and actually giving you some time to do it, right? So has everyone just attached at least some of the tasks? We might not have time to do all of the tasks right now, but at least some of the tasks to some of the times that they're available. Yeah, great. So I want to hear some feedback. How did you find that? Was it easy? Was it hard? Feelings about just attaching the tasks and creating that time slot for each task.
For me,
Yeah.
it is not easy. Usually it takes me a long time. This time is the same, to decide which is important, which is urgent, not important. I feel like everything is important that I cannot dedicate to other people. And there are urgency, yeah, I can see they're more urgent, not urgent, but the thing is everything is important. So I cannot decide. This is one thing. And another thing is that even if I found out that there are something not important, maybe then need to dedicate to some people, then I will take another long time to think how to dedicate it.
Mm-hmm. So that is a very good point of deciding what is important and what's not important. The way I like to see it is important if it's moving you forward into your goal. If it's moving you closer to your goal. If you see that task helping you achieve your goal faster.
I see all the task is helping me. That's why I do it. Otherwise, I won't do it. Right now I'm looking at all the work tasks that I have to get it down.
Well, then you
Everything.
have no choice. If you have to because it's your work, then you have no choice. But what we are hopefully looking at is more than that, right? Is the big picture, the dream life, what your goals are outside of just the work. You as a person, where would you like to be at the end of the week? What would you like to achieve by the end of the week? So that's when I say if it's getting you closer to your goal, that's what I meant. Does that make a little bit more sense now? Okay, great.
Yes, it is. And you just make me realize that I don't take my personal goals that serious sometimes. It's always work first. Work occupied all the time.
See, and that's why I really like to color code my calendar blocks, because then I can look back and understand what colors are more dominant on my calendar. And if I'm spending too much time doing a certain type of tasks and I'm not prioritizing the others, then it's visual, like it's right there, like in front of my eyes, how I'm spending my time and what tasks are taking the most of my time. Obviously, work is going to be like whatever color you choose for work is going to be the most the most dominant color in your calendar. But looking to the other time slots you have available, they should be as colorful as you can. They should be
That's a good
diverse.
point.
That's part of the reason why I like to color coordinate, is for me to be aware. I'm a very visual person, so the fact that it's like right in front of me with different colors, I can immediately see how I'm choosing to spend my time and what I'm prioritizing and what I'm not prioritizing, if that makes sense. Anyone else found this exercise? John?
Yeah, I found it really helpful, but I also had a question.
Yep.
For your life, should you have, like at work, I have a calendar and I have everything that I need to do there.
Mm-hmm.
And at home, I have another one. But sometimes I'm not sure if I should maybe integrate some of those things. If I need like to have a personal calendar, or if I need a work calendar, or if I should have them together. Because sometimes I feel like they do kind of mingle with each other,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
What do you think?
I have a physical calendar at work where I write everything down. And that's only work related. It stays in my classroom. But then I have my Google Calendar here that basically replicates what I have on my calendar, maybe not as detailed. Maybe on my physical calendar at work, I detail a little bit more what the task is and exactly what I'm doing. Like if I'm talking about, for example, a class, then I write what pages the student will be making, and that information, I don't need it to be on my phone. But the general information, it is on my calendar as well, that syncs with my computer. So at any point, I can easily access it. And I find it useful because then again, I have a visual and I have an idea of like what hours I have available and how I'm spending my time. Some people find it just a Google Calendar to be enough. I like to write everything down when it's work related. Just it's a preference. You don't have to. But for me, having it accessible and having it easily changeable is not even an English word, is it?
It works.
It works. You know what I mean, like easily editable. That's the word I was looking for. It's very, for me, it's very useful.
Okay, I didn't think about actually, I don't usually use my phone calendar because I just want to write everything down. and I want something to be physical in front of me, but maybe I will consider even putting some stuff on my phone so that I have it with me at all times. So
Yeah,
that's a good
and
idea.
you can set alarms, so it will like just remind you to shift
Okay.
your energy to where you.
I have to join the modern world. Thanks.
I'd like to share a little bit more about Google Calendar. I use it a lot.
Yeah,
Actually, you can have lots of calendars in your Google Calendar.
exactly.
You can create many calendars. Your
Yeah.
private ones, I have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 calendars there, and you can check it. Then it's visible in the main calendar. That the things in, for example, your private calendar, it will pop out.
That's
if you uncheck
exactly.
it will vanish. So you can check several calendars, all the things coming out, or you
That's
can choose
exactly
just
what I mean when I say color code your calendar, because then each calendar is a color. That's exactly what I mean, Ijang. That's exactly what I mean. So for example, if you decide that blue is your work color and purple is your coaching color and like yellow is your self-care color, whatever calendars you decide to create, then you can look at your week and say like, oh, there's not enough yellow, there's not enough blue, there's not enough purple, and you can decide what's important and what's not important and what you want to prioritize and what you don't want to prioritize. Yep. Cool.
Thanks.
Flora, I see your hand is up. Do you have a question?
Yes, my question is, when I check the calendar, I would like to show you the calendar I made with my daughter. And for this calendar, and it's easy for us to finish important and urgent things. So, for example, for this area, and this is urgent and important. So when I check the calendar, we can finish this area easily. But for important and not urgent, and it's very, very difficult for us to finish. For example, this area and is very important but not urgent. So we want to keep going every day. It's like we can get a good habit and practice every day. But when I check the calendar, and then sometimes we cannot finish it. So I would like to hear some suggestions from you.
Yeah. So what I would do is I would do what I suggested at the beginning of using time block for tracking the first 2 or 3 weeks and really understand what your time wasters are, right? And what moments in your day can you choose to be a little bit quicker, or like what tasks can you delegate, or maybe what tasks can you choose to do in a different way so it's faster to do. Just being really aware of like how you're spending your time and what the time wasters are would be what I what I would suggest you.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. And Tabi, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing your name correctly. I see your hand is up as well.
I think it might be Lily.
I think I saw
Lily,
Darko.
Tabi, your hand's up.
Okay, Darko. Yep.
Yes, I want to share that this exercise forced me to find out that a task which I procrastinate a lot of time seems to be very important for me. So I wrote it as some most important task for next week,
Nice.
and makes it time blocks. And thank you for that.
Nice.
Thank you.
Very happy to hear that, Darko. Like, is there any other question, any other concern, comment?
There is another one that
Yeah. Yes.
that I feel if
I'm sorry, Natabi, I think your connection is bad. I see that you're trying to say something, but I really can't hear what you're saying. I'm so sorry. If you don't mind typing it in the chat or something, because I really want to answer your question, but I can't hear what you say.
what I experience is that if we put a lot of tasks in one day, it is hard to relocate the task. When sometimes the task is canceled and need to move to another day, it is difficult to move. In your opinion, your experience, how many tasks in a day is like proper?
It really depends how long the tasks will take, right? It's important to be realistic on first how long the task is going to take, and like if, for example, if there's a big commute between one task and the other, like have that in consideration as well, right? That the task may be longer and then you will have to commute to the next task. So being very realistic. I'm not going to tell you a number of tasks because it really depends, right? Because let's say you might have a task that takes you 30 minutes and then the other one takes you 3 hours. So if I tell you, 3 tasks is the ideal for a day, and you choose to do 3 30-minute tasks, it's very different than if you choose to do 3 3-hour tasks, right? So as long as you're being realistic of how long the tasks are going to take, and you are leaving space in between tasks so you can breathe and you can take for account of like some unexpected things that may happen, I think you'll be fine. Does that make sense?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Natabi, do you wanna give it a go? Okay, great. If there are no more questions, I would like, I'm so sorry. I would like to end this session of the workshop with another quote. And this quote is, the bad news is that time flies. The good news is that you are the pilot. And hopefully today we learned how to fly the plane a little bit. I don't know if there is any question or anything.
Any burning questions? Now's your time to bring them up. How do we get more than 24 hours in a day? This is your time to ask.
For me, it's not just time management. It's more like more deeper issue. First, I tend to cram a lot of things in this limited time. And second, I'm kind of feel, I don't know, I don't want to leave the space out. Like, for example, if I have Saturday totally open, I don't know what to do. I just don't know what to do. And then next thing is I will just find something to fill fill that blank.
But if you do that for a very long period of time, you will end up burning out, because it is important to have moments where you don't have anything on the schedule and you have just time to choose what to do. If you want to be productive, you can, but if you want to watch Netflix and just have an off day, that's totally fine as well, as long as you planned your day before. I was talking, I think it was you, wasn't it, Priyal, that we were talking the other day about leaving 30 minutes a day where there's nothing on your calendar.
Yeah.
And that is, for me, it has become very, very important, because that way I can choose, and sometimes you can choose to be productive and keep doing the task that you were doing before. But sometimes you might decide that you want to just go for a walk, or you want to watch a show, you want to go and meet a friend for coffee or dinner or whatever. And that's totally fine.
Right, probably
When Raquel was asking me, I was asking her some questions about time management maybe a year ago. And the biggest thing I got from her was she was asking me, like, well, Adrian, what's more important, this, or that? So it was totally, we're talking about time management, but it came down to sorting out what was the absolute highest priority. Mm-hmm. One thing I always hear is, you can do anything, and maybe you can do almost anything, but you can't do everything.
Yeah.
What comes to me is that when I give my time to you can do anything, then I will just wandering around, get lost what I should do, and that 30 minutes just gone, and I feel bad about I just wasted 30 minutes.
So is your number one thing coaching? Is your number one thing being a teacher, or is your number one thing being a learner? What's the number one thing? What's like your number one priority? And make sure that gets put in your timetable. Mm-hmm. So many people today, they're trying to put in yoga sessions, and they're putting in gym sessions, and they're putting in meditation sessions, and they're putting in business building sessions, and then I'm going to read a book about investing, and then I'm going to do something else, and on top of this, I got an 8-hour day. And then I'm going to see my friends, and then Netflix comes along, and there's no space for Netflix.
Mm-hmm. It is like Adrian was saying, it's a lot about prioritizing, right? It's a lot about understanding what are your non-negotiables, right? What, no matter what, needs to be done that day. And if you get to those, great. And if you do have free time, and if you are just, okay, so I don't know what to do in this 30 minutes, so I don't do anything, and then I feel guilty because I wasted 30 minutes, then you're feeling guilty about not being productive for 30 minutes out of a 24-hour day. And it would be interesting to understand where this guilt comes from, and where this like need to be productive 100% of the time comes from, right?
Right, that's a good point.
Arlene was about to say.
Yeah, Arlene?
Me?
Yeah. You were
okay.
about to say something, right?
Okay, I'm happy to share. So I totally agree in terms of time management. I think we also need to cover about how you see different things with different priorities, urgency, importance. And also I think it's also important to give them attributes and the weight, and determine like to what extent you think good quality, bad quality. So, and you can segment the time, like for example, when you are on the tube or you are particularly focused. And I think it's also important to train. I think I'm very good at multiple tasking. So multiple tasking means to me, like especially when in a meeting or when I'm on the tube, I'm very good at it, just surfing the internet or something, or just reply some message that to me are not so urgent and important. So I think overall it's how you value the things, value that person, urgency, importance, and how it's a connection between Late and me. So yeah, so that's how I think. I don't expect everything to be very good, very perfect. It depends on how I see the things at the right time and the particular person. But I find time management also a very important skill is multiple tasking.
Right. So when I was talking about finding your time wasters and finding your productive hours, right? So that's exactly what I meant, to understand when in your day you can put more active tasks, when in your day, but that would be a much longer workshop, because there's like different kind of tasks and different kinds of times that you can allocate. It is very important to be aware of like times when we are very productive, times when we can do some tasks that don't require too much focus or something like that, right? That's a very good point. Very, very good point.
Yeah, we need to be careful with the multitasking, you know, because sometimes you can multitask like listening to an audiobook while being on the subway, and you can totally multitask well. But at other times, like I heard this brilliant test is like, how quick can you go through the alphabet? How quick can you count to 10? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, A, B, C, D. Now, how quick then can you go both at the same time?
Yeah.
A1, B2, C3, D4, E5, F6, G7. So we've got to be careful what we multitask, because if we multitask things where we use the same brain, we're derailing. But multitasking, like on the subway, listening to an audiobook.
Right.
That's your advanced class, right?
But it depends on what tasks you're combining together, right? Because it is very, very hard to multitask to active tasks, right? So if you have an active task and a passive task, it's easy. So for example, cleaning your bedroom while catching up on your show. Fine. Totally fine. Or going on the metro on your way to work and listening to a podcast, an audiobook, or responding to emails on the metro while you're going to work. That's totally fine, right? But working on two, like, let's say, for example, if you're a coach, working on two different coaching calls, preparing two different coaching calls at the same time, that's impossible. You can't do it. And it's a lot faster, a lot more effective if you decide to do one at a time, and you will have both done faster than if you do both at the same time, like Adrian was saying with the alphabet and numbers example.
So I know it's in your advanced work, but for everyone here, are there I often go to the gym, and I go to the gym with earphones, but I've got a friend, he's like Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's also just made his first million, you know. So he's very, very disciplined in body and business.
Okay.
So when he's at the gym, he doesn't listen to any audiobooks. He's listening to his muscles. And when you do yoga, you know, you should be listening to your body. You know, we got a Flora here. She's got a 7-year-old daughter, and she needs to be really focused on her. So Raquel, what kind of tasks should we really ensure that we are, how do we make sure we're doing the right thing there, not overly multitasking or, can you go a bit deeper with that?
Right. So in order to combine tasks, one of them needs to not require focus. It needs to be something that it's either a routine for you, so you can add on your routines. So for example, if you are getting ready in the morning, you can have a podcast in the background. Or if you are commuting to work, if you're not driving, safety first, obviously, you can be responding to emails, right? But if both tasks require a high focus mentality, if they both require focus, then I wouldn't combine them together. I would either combine a routine or something that you don't need to be too focused on with something that you need to be focused on, or I wouldn't combine at all.
At the same time, you could be, this is a bit of a side thing, but if you have to do a phone call to your bank, which can be frustrating, and you're eating food, you can do that at the same time, speaker. But if you're going to be stressed out in a phone call, you don't want to be eating, because you want to be feeling good when you're eating your food. Affects the digestion.
But eating doesn't require too much focus. That's a routine.
Yes.
That qualifies into the routine category.
But if you wanted to get more out of your time, you could use eating as a time to practice focus. So if there's any meditators in the room, you could use eating as a time to meditate.
Yes.
Keeping focus on each, connecting to the food, connecting to your body. That's a good little time hack.
Definitely.
If there's any creative people in the room, if you're doing creative exercise, you need to make sure you leave extra time for your creative exercises. Raquel made a point of this, I don't know if she did it before or somewhere else, that if you're getting creative exercise, you need extra, because you can't be rushed for creative exercises. You need time to warm up.
That's totally true. It's just it reminds me of my job changed a little bit in my company. I used to do a lot of operation work, like reservations, talking to the clients, and answering their questions. But now I'm doing more like social media posts that need to think about things. And I feel like I spend so much time and I can't get things done, and I feel so frustrated. Yeah, that makes sense. You need more time to create things.
Maybe setting up some, I know, sorry, some of this is covered in the advanced stuff, but I'm going to share out some of the advanced stuff because I loved it. You said something else about warming up. You hear that one, E? Like you put an exercise before that warms you up for it.
That
So
gets
like
you in the mood.
meditation before doing social media posts.
Yeah.
Exercise before, exercise and then gap and then kids. You don't want to exercise and then get kids, because it's just like. Any single people on the phone here? Any single people in the room? How do you manage that? Combine dating and business hustling. John smiling.
You mean dating clients?
See, that's the kind of multitasking we don't want to be doing. No, but what Adrian was saying is very important. When you can build up on your routines, you can build up on what you already have established as your typical day to help you and make it even better to help you achieve what your goal is, right? So if your goal is to go to the gym before work every day, then attach like something like leaving your workout clothes right next to your bed in the morning. So you get up, put on your workout clothes, and you go to the gym. I like combining actions that you are used to do, and you feel some sort of like pleasure of connection with, to what you want to do, and combining those together. That's a very important and a very good tip as well.
So you leave all your shower gear at the gym. So you have to have a shower at the gym.
There we go.
3 days you haven't been to the gym.
There we go. But yeah, a lot of people that I work with come with that problem of like, I feel like I don't have enough time to accomplish everything. Like I don't have enough hours in my day. And I always say like, look, there's 24 hours for you, for me, for Beyonce, for anyone in this world. We have the same amount of hours. It's all about discipline and how you decide to use those hours, right? And I hope with these exercises that we did today, then we have a little bit more clarity of more tasks and how to look at our time like blocks, and how to fill in the blocks so we can all achieve our goals faster.
There's one thing I would like to have some tips. Talking about time wasting.
Mm-hmm.
I found there's one type of time wasting I'm doing it a lot. Is like I try not to do multitasks, but when I'm doing one task, my brain is going to another task. Like, oh, I haven't done that. While I'm doing that, I try to stop, try to focus, but my brain is just go over there, and it slowed down my other things. And I don't know when I started to do something else, and then coming back, and
So,
how to prevent.
When you are having those thoughts, do you already know that it's planned on your calendar to do that task that you feel like you should be doing now?
Yeah.
Okay, so then when that happens to me, what I say is like, thank you, but not now. And I move on. Like in my head, if I'm like, let's say, oh, I'm working on a lesson plan, right? Or I'm working on marking homework. So my teaching, my teaching job. And then all of a sudden in the middle of it, I remember, oh, I need to contact my client about this. But I know that I already have it on the schedule to call him. So in my head, I was like, thank you, but not now. And I move on.
What if when you are doing your teaching job, and then you suddenly think like, oh, I'm going to call my clients, and before that, I need to get this done. So that one is suddenly just pumped up into your head. For me, it's like, oh, I need to add it to my work, to the calendar. I add it to the calendar, and I just keep doing that work.
I don't add it to the calendar. I write it on a piece of paper. If it's something that I just thought of it, and I was like, okay, so before I call my client, I need to do this. Okay, so I write it down, so it's on a piece of paper, and I don't think about it until it's time. Because I can't be like, if I'm in my work, I can't be on my phone editing my calendar. So I just write it on a piece of paper, and then I deal with it later when it's time to deal with it. Because I know that I have time to deal with it. So that gives me peace of mind that I know that in my calendar I will have time to deal with it. So now it's not the time, I'm focused on something else.
I see.
And I usually use the phrase "thank you, but not now." That just sends it away.
Okay, I'll try that. Thank you.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot with time management. It's about establishing routines and establishing new and positive, healthy habits.
Yes.
into that as well, right? So I think that plays a lot into it from what you've been saying.
Absolutely.
Yeah, habits and routines. Good habits.
And gradually getting better and better, or gradually doing more of it.
Yeah.
Not in one hit trying to do everything.
Mm-mm.
What's that thing Tony Robbins says about time? People overestimate what they can do in one. People tend to overestimate what they can do in 1 year, underestimate what they can do in 3.
Yeah.
So we sell ourselves short in the longer term, but think we can do too much in the short term. And even though I know this, I probably do it myself.
We all do a little bit. It is a skill, and it takes time, and it takes practice, right? It's not, you're not gonna be perfect the first time that you try to do it. But it's all about progress and being better and becoming better week after week, and understand what you do and understand what you did that didn't work. Then how can you how can you do it better next time?
We have a couple of coaches in the room and non-coaches. So if you haven't experienced coaching, Raquel, how does coaching help, or can coaching help time management, or how do you help with people with, what's the correlation there?
So obviously, if if you're looking for a better time management, then a coach will help you idealize your week. And obviously, the way I work with my clients, I have a four-step method for time management. So in the first session, what we do is I understand how the client really spends their time, and then how the client wants to spend their time. So what are the changes that the client is willing to make? And then on the second session, we understand how long the tasks that there are, the non-negotiables that the client has, how long those tasks take, and so how much time the client has to fill with the tasks that he wants to do, aside from the tasks that he has to do, right? And then on the third session, what we do is we come to an ideal schedule of a week. Obviously, this is very it varies, and it's not going to be like every week is going to be the same thing, but it's some sort of like an idea of what an ideal week would be. And then we try it out for a week, and then we come and adjust that, so the client understands that if that template is working, all he needs to do is adjust the template on a weekly basis to add some stuff or take some stuff out. But and this is how I help my clients with time management. It's usually a 4-step process. It may be longer if the template that we created is not working and the client is finding some more issues. Then it may be a longer process, but basically it's a 4-session process for me.
And then constant like accountability, brainstorming, sharing ideas and stuff.
Yes. You're constantly in contact to understand what's working, what's not working. If it's not working, why isn't it working, and how can we make it work?
Some time ago, I had coaching specifically on time management with Raquel, and I also had some coaching with Darko. And at the time, I had a lot of things on, and I was calling him up maybe 2 times a week, walking in the morning, I was walking in the morning for half an hour or an hour while talking with him about essentially it was time management stuff. The time didn't work with Raquel, you know, like this is 5 o'clock in the morning, China time, you know. 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, she didn't want to get up that early.
I did.
So Darko was helping me, and I think it was mine. Bought 2 properties, and being able to talk with him and brainstorm. And then he doesn't know what I've got on, but he was reflecting back what he was hearing. So hearing him say things was clarifying. And by the time I got home in the morning, it's like, boom, I knew exactly what I had to do. I know what I had to get done that day. I knew what was the highest priority for that day and for the next couple of days. And then 3 or 4 days later, you know, I'm walking again on the phone with him again. And we had a big surge where in a few months, it was pretty phenomenal.
Yeah.
I want also to share that usually regarding time management, it is very important thing is accountability. Because I work in my coaching practice, also I have clients who are, we are talking, we are making good plan during the day. But as the day goes on, especially at the afternoon, the energy comes down and the task they try to skip. So I'm always trying to put important task at the morning when they have more energy.
Yeah, I don't really believe about these night owl stuff. Like, I know some people say, no, they'll sleep in the morning. But every person I've ever worked with, you know, all the high performers, they seem to get great amounts done in the morning or even earlier in the morning, like Priel up at 3 a.m. in the morning. They get lots of stuff done. I know some people who talk about doing it, but...
Priyal just came back on camera just to give you a thumbs up. I don't know if
I'm like, he's totally right. I'm getting so much done between this odd time. It's insane. Like I was working from 1 a.m. till your session started, and I finished so much that I feel amazing. It's odd to me.
You're a superwoman. Though. You are a superwoman because you work from 1 a.m. to 3 p.m. and then at 4 p.m. you're gonna be working again, and at 2 p.m. you're working again.
I think the trick here is to find the times that truly work for you productivity wise.
That is true.
If you can really figure that out, you can get almost anything done.
Yeah. It's also important to sleep and rest.
Yes.
Brielle, you get so much more done in these early hours. Did you ever get so much done late at night?
No. Late at night is my worst time. Like, it just doesn't work for me. Like, after 8 p.m., my brain shuts down. Like, I can't work between 8 to 1 a.m.
Anyone here a big worker at night?
No, I prefer to get up early in the morning. I like getting up at 6, having my breakfast, walking my dog, and then by at least, I would say by 1 o'clock, I want to stop slowing down and just doing the small things. Maybe that's like tidying up the apartment or doing whatever else that is a bit smaller, but the heavy tasks are always in the morning. I feel more productive. Mm-hmm. I feel better after. I can be lazy and relax or make other plans and just take it easy. So I couldn't be up at 1 to 3 in the morning. That's I'd be dead. But I guess we all work different hands.
His hand up. I think he was about to say, do you mean 6 o'clock in the morning's early?
Oh, no.
Jeremy.
6 o'clock in the morning is early. Yeah. No, I find myself sometimes wanting to be like it seems most people or many people are an early morning worker, but I'll hit my stride sometimes at 10 p.m. and then that's like when things start to click, and that'll go till 2, 3 in the morning. And then 6 a.m. is rough.
But yeah, like that's what I think it was Priyal that was saying, that it's important to understand the hours that you're the most productive at, And most people find the morning to be where they are the most productive, or the hours where they get the most done. So it's important to put like the most important tasks when you're the most productive. Then the rest of the day you can relax a little bit more and do the less important tasks.
Which means don't put all important tasks in one day.
Yes.
Balance it out.
Yes. Yes. That's exactly what it means, Ija.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you do have any final questions, do feel free to raise them. We'll wrap up in a minute. Raquel, can you please share your WeChat in the Zoom code? I think everyone has it or can get it anyway. But if anyone would like to as well, are you up to giving away 1 or 2 complimentary sessions, Raquel? Not sales sessions, but completely free sessions for people to try out if they want?
Yes, absolutely.
Fantastic. The way we generally work in this field, especially those of us that are involved in Motivate, and I harp on this with everyone that has spoken for Motivate, is to be giving a lot of value first. Some companies, people use a introductory call as a sales call. We don't believe in that stuff. We just serve people straight up. So if you want to call her up, engage, have a coaching session, see what it's like, work on your time management or something else you may have, totally feel free to jump on that opportunity quickly with her. And I'm sure you'll have a great experience and enjoy it.
Thank you. I wrote my WeChat ID on the chat, and I'm happy to connect with anybody. I know some of you already have my WeChat, but it's there.
Estrelita can give it to you as well, of course.
Yes.
Final questions or last burning points?
Great job, Raquel.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Great webinar, Raquel. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
you
you,
so
Priya.
much, Raquel. It was great.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay. Bye.
Thank you, Raquel.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.